Hey guys, I have a couple videos on what I call flipping milk kefir, which means taking the fermented product through the straining process, bottling it, and then starting a fresh batch. I'm going to show you what to do right from scratch, like how do you even get started with milk kefir. So I have all the things here, and I want to thank my friend Chelsea from Our Urban Homestead for asking this question. I'm going to give her a shout out and tag her below. Please go like her YouTube page, give her a thumbs up, subscribe. So I'm going to show you what to do when you get grains. And cool history lesson, if you don't mind me sharing, is I looked up where do kefir grains come from, because you have to have these kefir grains to get started. These you can't make on your own. So I looked it up, and it started thousands of years ago, and it was because people kept their raw milk, dairy from their cows, in leather sacks, and then they would use it and they'd refill it. Well, eventually, because they really didn't clean it out, and there are some wonderful enzymes in raw milk, it eventually created a little gelatinous grain, which has become known as kefir grains, and it's the same as a SCOBY in kombucha. It's a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. A really great little formation of bacteria and yeast that are good for us. It's good for our gut health. And throughout history, people have never successfully been able to create kefir grains. You have to just get them. So thousands of years ago, they were a prized possession, and they were literally handed down in families. They were handed down. Now they're easier to find. But anyway, I thought that was really cool. You cannot create them, you have to get them. When you get kefir grains from somebody, they would look like this. Okay, they still have a little bit of milk product on them, but I did give some a rinse, just so you could see what they look like. They're literally these little gelatinous bits. They look like cauliflower in a way, kind of an off-white color. I've actually, by mistake, got one in my mouth one time, and it's kind of like a gummy bear. Like, it's literally sort of gummy. So they're not fragile. They're actually kind of firm. Anyway, that's what they look like without milk. So as far as a recipe goes, it calls for about a quarter cup of grains for 4 cups of milk. So a quart jar is 4 cups, and put them in your fresh jar. And then I use organic milk, and it needs to be whole milk. It needs that full fat in the milk to process correctly. So I use store-bought whole organic milk, and I'm going to give it a stir to mix up the grains with the milk. And then the rest you can keep. You can place in the fridge. Anyway, put the milk in, give it a stir, and I like to use a fermentation lid. You could use coffee filters, a tea towel, cheesecloth. May not be, the holes might be too big, so use a couple layers, but something to keep anything out. Fermenting things are very attractive to like fruit flies. So just make sure it's either, that's why I like these lids, very secure so that nothing gets in there. These fermentation lids release any gases that build up behind them. And you'll set this on your counter for at least 24 hours. I find in my house 2 days is perfect. And then when you notice it getting just right, which is a separation of literally the culture and whey, like curds and whey, and you'll also notice that it's no longer milky, it gets firm. And from there, you'll flip it. And I'll link down below a video to how I flip milk kefir, which means when this is done, like I said earlier, you strain it, bottle it, put those grains back in the jar, and add some more milk. And this is a process that you can just keep on going. But at any time you want, you can pop it in the fridge and, let it sit a little bit. You don't have to, it's not a commitment. It's not a huge commitment. Recipes is so easy, grains and milk. I'll link the other video below on how to follow after this. Thanks.